much. It's my honor and pleasure to be here. This is my first time to Zagreb. And I came from Slovenia because we have International Society for Chinese Philosophy biannual meetings. So I was a keynote speaker about that. So, but I come here, and one thing is I'm really excited to share with you some of my new work right now, especially the idea of proximity. And for this group of philosophers, you're professional philosophers, I can relate it with this because only in China, I think, have this Institute of Philosophy, and you are devoted 100% of your time in philosophy, no teaching, no service. So for us, in the US, have only 40% of the time in research, then another 40 is teaching, 20% in service. But you are very lucky to get devoted all your 100% of the time in philosophy. You're breathing with philosophy, you're living with philosophy. So I think it's very interesting. I can share some of my idea with you, see how that works. Okay, there is another reason I'm here is where I come from. I come from a small town called Croatia town, actually it's San Pedro, and LA, and that's my home located. And all these people, it's all my friends in the YMCA, in the gym, the swimming pool, play ping pong, are from Croatia. And they speak, that's why I said they speak a strong Croatian accent. So that's why I said, oh, how come you don't have the strong accent? And they have, this is, I just took it in the May 31st, May 29, that weekend. They have a celebration, Croatia Independence Day, and they also have people sworn in now American become a Croatian citizens in that event. So it's very interesting. So I'm always want to come to visiting Croatia because I can connecting with all this my friends in America, and they all from one small town like this, and everybody are related to each other. So it's really interesting, and they offer Croatian lecture, language too. So that's just some joke. Okay, so I want to talk about the Zhuangzi. So question is, who is Zhuangzi? Zhuangzi is the man, and also Zhuangzi is the book. Title of the book is one of two classics of Taoist philosophy. If we think about Taoist philosophy, and it's mainly referred to two classical texts. One is the Tao Te Ching, 5,000 words. Most people probably know, and they think, oh, this Chinese think, oh, it's most translated text after Bible. So that's the Tao Te Ching. But then another one is Zhuangzi. So Zhuangzi, it's a very interesting text that there is quite a bit of philosophical ideas, narrative framework you can activate from it. So writing style is a little bit crazy. Once you first read it, you don't know what is they talking about. My student will say, hey, Professor Wang, do you think Zhuangzi is high? I said, when he wrote this, I said, maybe at least he's drinking that very hard liquor. Chinese hard liquor is 60%. So if you go into China, try that Chinese hard liquor, 60%. But it's the drinking that, and then you come down, you rise up to your head. So that's how given the inspiration, how to do bodily cultivation. It is very interesting. So I gotta watch my time, so I will move on quickly. So here is, there is quite a better way to think about the Zhuangzi. I take a special way, kind of like epistemology issues, a little bit related to Petrić's earlier discussions. So let's look at the Zhuangzi's thing. One thing, everyone in this world knows how to raise the question about they do not know. Socrates said, right? So I do not know anything. This is a philosophical pursuit. But Zhuangzi think about, but we should think now. We should think about what they already know. Should we exam what you think you know. Okay, so this is a wonderful thing we will think about. Is Zhuangzi is a critique. Zhuangzi's philosophy, one way we can take it is a critique. The critique, in sense, is to present a different alternative to philosophical issues. So that's how the main things I take on Zhuangzi. Most of the people thinking about the Taoism think, oh, Taoist philosophy is just chill, go back to nature, being with nature, wu-wei, non-action. But I really want to debuttal this kind of Petrić Taoist philosophy. I think the Taoist philosophy has a quite a bit more deep sense of idea of understanding. So what is things about the Taoist philosophy, especially Zhuangzi ideas, to think about the limitations, the perspectives, and fallibility as know. So what is, you see, Zhuangzi said, if you see you know, there's two issues here. One issue is how do you know? You through the language, right? You use the language to naming that what do you know. But that things is constant change. In other words, see, realities is a constant change. You any kind of language, conceptual understanding, you blocking into that things is constant transformation. So this is give you enough suspicion about your knowledge. You consider your knowing. Second thing is, so what you know sometimes is in the particular time and the place. So it is depends on something. There is references of a judgment. So this reference need to be examined. So in other words, often Zhuangzi thinking about knowledge, or you think you know, actually you are trapped in your own self with the understanding. So this in Chinese, there's another big issue. Chinese think about what do you think? So use the Chinese word called xin. This xin is including heart and the mind. It's not just the brain, but they're also heart part of it too. So usually we translate called the heart and the mind. Now, not like a Greek, you're thinking use your heart in above, and then your emotion is in the heart and then separate. But Chinese is always thinking about the connection. There's no way to connect them or separate them. So you use the heart and mind thinking at the same time. So therefore, Zhuangzi always thinking about the knowledge, especially humans, you think you know, has a certain kind of flaw. You have fixed view, you have social constructed, and you have a conceptual scheme. All these problems he identified. So which I'm not going to think about. So overall, he was thinking about, you think you know, you actually is like shutting your own self in that shadows. So another word, so right now we talk about the echo chambers. You know, so this is what the Zhuangzi thinking. Everyone has their own cave if we use Plato's ideas. So then we always want to recognize you are in your own cave to know the world and the reality. So that's what Zhuangzi think about. So then I thank you for Lucas sending me this kind of encyclopedia of Stanford philosophy. So I started reading it. I said, okay, I want to get this stuff. So Petrić, right? I don't know how. I tried so hard to learn. I couldn't really learn. But anyway, so one of the things I found out, and he talked about the reality is light. I said, oh, this is so interesting. And his idea is against the Aristotelian view, and I want to go to Plato. You know, I can't do superficial comparisons, right? But there is one something I think for me it's a good hook. The good hook to get into the Zhuangzi's idea. This is the light issues. Now, Petrić, or the Western idea of Greek philosophy, talk about light, talk about always solar light, the sun, the strong. And I would say, what about the moonlight? Well, moonlight is a reflection. So it's not considered. But let's look at the Chinese character. Probably you know Chinese character. Chinese language itself, it's not a phonetic language. You cannot spell it out. It's a form of art. So then there is no way, in order to educate it, you have to mechanically write each character 100 times. Then that art character to stuck in your mind, and you say, okay, I can read. You need 3,000 that kind of imageries in your head, then you can read. The Japanese share 30% of Chinese characters with Chinese, and so this is, so then we think about the clarity. For example, there is a Chinese word that's titled clarity. Interestingly, clarity has two parts. So because Chinese language is a pictorial language, what happened is there is no separation between abstract concept and empirical experience. So everything is connected. Many things like a computer, electronic brain, Coca-Cola, come to China, everybody drop the teapots, pick up a Coca can. How do you translate this? They searched so many times, so many words, and then eventually called happiness in mouth. So that's a Coca-Cola. So there is many ways they translate, right? So Chinese word has the, so then you can look at this Chinese character Ming. So this is exactly this part, and is the sun. And then this part is the moon. Of course, Chinese character has this kind of evolution from different thousands of years, they gradually writing. So now, if we will say Ming, you're understanding that's Chinese was the Ming, which have the sun and the moon together. So that's kind of like a pretty interesting, right? You have a 24 hours length to in order to understand in this world. So I clearly want to think about, let's talk about moonlights. Okay, so lunar light. So what is about the lunar light? Since the lunar light, of course, the lunar light is reflecting the sun, but also indicate the connectivities, rhythm. If we think about like the moon, right? So you have different stage, full moon, quad moons, and then there is also moonlight reveals softness, ambiguity, and the shades. So in other words, Tao, if you really want to think about the Tao, what is a Tao? Tao is moonlight, it's lunar light. So that's the simplest thing to do. I would think you could do another comparisons, and you would think you can think about the solar logos and the lunar Tao. So that is because Chinese thinking from a literature to philosophy pays so much attention to the moonlight. So then my question is, I'm wondering, are you inviting to think about, what do you think about moonlight? Can the moonlight is a part of human understanding to thinking about the way we're connecting with reality? Of course, there is more, certain kind of things. So I will think of clarity as moonlight. Okay, this is use the metaphorical way to explain it. So state symbolize. So we think about the solar light, sunrise, sundown, right? So progressing history, permanence. But moonlight, the wax and the wane, and cycles, increments. So it's kind of really interesting. It's illumination without exposure. So it's reflecting rather than radiate. So then one of the things, the argument that my friend, Roger Ames said, actually Plato, if recognize moonlight, his theory will be better because his form, it's everything else is reflecting that form. The tables, all the myriad table reflect the form of table. So maybe he should think about the moonlight. That will be helpful his idea of forms. But anyway, so there is something about ambiguity, and one of the things I think the moonlight have this nourishing aspect. Allow many things to be themselves. So this is what the Taoist idea of 自然. That is the Heidegger. We think somebody talk about how Heidegger and the Tao connected. Heidegger, if you know Heidegger idea, the four bigs. That's directly from Tao Te Ching chapter 25. You know, humans follow the earth, earth follows heaven, heaven follows the Tao. Now, what the Tao follow? 自然, self-soul. It's just things that has its own intrinsic connectivity, be themselves. So we need to recognize them. So there is a spontaneity. So this is one way we think about another way to think about the moonlight, the moon mind. Tao-based, it's uncertainty. So this is a unique aspect of Chinese philosophy, or as a whole, but look at the Tao specifically. They start with a proposition: the world is uncertain. So then all the theory is trying to navigate this uncertainty. The yin yang, the books change, all is that. It's not thinking about the world, it's started with order. And then we become somehow follow the chaotic stage, and then we try to discover this order like the nature is it's the book of with God wrote this book, we need to find it. But they don't think, no, we just want to, in this kind of blurredness, in this kind of chaotic situation, we just somehow find our way, you know. So uncertainty is necessary part of reality. So we not celebrate, but we embraced. It's a part, you know, we work with it. So there is, for Tao especially, do not afraid the uncertainty. So one of the things to illustrate this Tao mind, we can think about this, the water. Okay, so highest virtue for Tao Te Ching, talk about chapter 8, talk about it's being like water. So your heart and mind need to like, as the whirlpool, it's just like water. And then the water and the moon are so connected, right? So how moon connecting moon rise and down, different phase of moon really affect the ocean's waves. It's hold this kind of ideas. So one of the things, okay, so that's the first things I would describe, a textual support analysis about this type of moonlight, the Tao mind uncertainty. But now where I'm going to go with it. So I'm landed with this idea of proximity, flowing proximity. So this is a question I want to see whether it works. So you see the world, allow world unfolding in front of you, your observation, you observes, and you allow, and then you do not, you know, you're trying to figure out, but yet you not impose your own views to the reality. Another word, clarity is atonement. Okay, so, and also in the sense of proximity. And atoned perception, and so this is need argument, right? So I would like to give you a textual analysis, okay? So this Zhuangzi is like master, Hui Shi is Confucian's student, and Hui Shi is rational, like to debate. So, and then Zhuangzi and Hui Shi is good partners. In this Zhuangzi book, a constant story they are discussed. So one of the things is called the happy fish debate. So this is also come to this kind of charity, principle of charity. I wonder what do you think about. So here's a text, okay? Text said that Zhuangzi and Hui Shi, they walk around in along the river. So Zhuangzi make a claim. The claim is to see how the fish are so happy this is the joy of fish. There's a claim Zhuangzi made, fish is enjoyable, you know. So just like Aristotle is the best philosopher, or you know, Italy is the best city for Marxism, right? So during this statement claim, 会是 is not to say yes or no, right or wrong. I'm disagree, none of that. So Zhuangzi actually deconstructing yes and no, right and wrong, this framework, this dualistic way to see. He said there is no right and wrong. Okay, so he basically, this is in chapter 2, if you want it. Okay, so instead, Zhuangzi, Hui should come up with another argument, saying you are not a fish. How do you know what the fish enjoy? Okay, so Zhuangzi respond, okay, said, you are not me. How do you know that I don't know what the fish enjoy? So, and then Hui replies, I'm not you, so I certainly don't know what you know, but since you are not a fish, it follows that you do not know what the fish enjoy. So you see the back and forth have this argument. Zhuangzi laughed and conclude. Let's go back to beginning. You ask me how I know the fish were happy, which means you already assume that I know it when you asked. So they started, and then the crucial argument, maybe this is the end, we said, I know it from here, standing on this bridge. Done. That's it. That's the. Do you agree? Disagree? Up to you. You know. You see what do they do? So they settled. Said, what I know is here. I'm from this bridge, and I can make a claim. Okay. So if you look at this, there's many things you can thinking about. Different view, because I use this to do the Duke. We have interpersonal harmony, this kind of workshop. So I presented this. It's so funny. Duke has called harmony harmony experiment or something. You know, they use these scientific ideas trying to think about present the Taoist view. But anyway, so there is kind of how to settle the differences, how to settle the argument, and look at the different perspective. The point is the joy. They both had a good time. You know, there is no argument who's right, who's wrong. They do not actually end it with that. So engage debate playfully and flexibly. Basically, it's open field, right? So move beyond the battles over right and wrong, propositional. But this is really come up a different way to thinking about the philosophical issues. But then, of course, you can see is this kind of style debate, you know, has a fraud. Probably, I think has the problem, right? So, but we do not think about Hui Shi is challenging this statement, and Zhuangzi shifted, presenting you another different framework to thinking about. So they basically redirecting the conversation and trying to say, okay, you got to check on your own assumptions. What do you know? What I know. So that is something, a framework I can see, right? So it's avoid the confrontations, but is that lead to clarity? That's the question. Then you can say, what is clarity? Clarity is a propositional clear, or clarity is a resonance. We feel each other. We feel the heart mind of each other. So we betone each other. So that could be something. So one of the things I was thinking about, maybe this is called proximity as a shared space. So here is when we make an argument, right? So what is it? It is create a space where things happen things happened through the interaction. Of course, lots of this example, I will talk about what is the teaching, teaching and learning. Of course, the student teaches us, and then also humans' interactions with animals, right? Do animals teach us? I say yes. Do trees, oceans, do the mountains teach us? Yes, they teach. Silent teachers. Okay, so then there is also kind of in teaching. You say, oh no, you cannot teach you don't have, which you don't have logos. But now we can think about how do we explain logos. So there is quite things we can think about. So I will think about the proximity in the sense is first of all assumption is connectivity. We connected. Okay, we are in relationship. And then the question, how do we in and out in this kind of navigating this kind of space? It's a very interesting, especially right now we are in the digital world where everything is so proximately close to us, right? In the older day, if you really like some singers, and then you have to go into to buy the tickets, go into concert, and you can jump in with the singer and all. So the very limited time to listen to the music. Now you can listen 24/7 because the music you have, connect very easy, right? So, but the question also think about that proximity is a trap. Okay, so everything you can so easy, the whole world in your palm, you can order it and then come down. I don't know whether Amazon is a big thing in here, but anyway, but then we connect in the world so closely, but actually we separate with us from this world through this digital connectivity. So then one of the things that we think about the proximity as a flow. Okay, so if question mostly we only thinking about how we connected, but we also think about we need a breakthrough. We break from it. So this is normally I go back to the moonlight thing. So moonlight does not collapse distance, nor does it enforce separation, and the flow between near and distant, shaping like water or wind. So the water and the moon is always in this constant, this kind of connections. Okay, so this is, I would like to give you a really interesting stories. This is from Zhuangzi as well. So there is Yang He is being given a job. Someone talked to Yang He is this. Okay, so going to promote the tutoring crown prince of Wang, and then this prince is very bad. Every time I read this, I'm thinking about the stupid Trump. So this is a question, right? So many intelligent person surrounded with Trump, but there is stupid one a lot, but I'm sure there is lots of smart ones, right? So they facing this dilemma. So this is what this person, Yang He facing it, said, if I found no way content him, he will endanger my state. But if I do trying to content him, he will endanger my life. So basically, he facing dilemma. Stay up with a dangerous prince, and then stand up with it, and then himself going to get injured, being fired, whatever. Don't stand up with him. Stay. The country, the land will be destroyed or damaged. Right? So he facing this kind of real problems. What did he do? So Zhuangzi don't give you said, I'll do X, Y, Z. There is no preconceived principle that you execute. That's not the Tao. Tao said, okay, I give you some possibilities. I open up a space to you. How do I do? He gave 3 examples. Okay, 3 examples all from animals. So that one of the things I talk about in Slovenia is like animals teach logos, this type of idea. But okay, so he gave 3 examples to illustrate what you should do. I think it's embodiment of proximity as well. So first he think about matters. Matters is a very small insect, right? So he said, oh, you need to block a card. It's admirable, but for you're being killed. No time, the car will running through you. And then second thing he said, taming the tiger, managing their hunger and anger carefully, never giving too much nor too little. Because the tigers, so you think about the people training tiger, that's a lousy job. So you're really dangerous, right? People are passionate about it, but you have to go by tiger. Tiger could eat you up, but you still care about tiger, and while you're protecting yourself. So that is navigating this difficult path. So that's the examples. The third example is loving a horse. Of course, horse in the older days is a valuable possessions. So it's to make you live a little better. You see, by using horse. So, but then you need to do it knowing when to smooth and or restrain. This horse navigating is one of 6 liberal arts training for in Chinese Confucian or Chinese culture as well. You have morality, music, math, and then archery and calligraphy, then horse. Horse training is to when to give in, when to take, just like to your children. So when you put up with the fight put up with the battle with your children, when you constrain them, when you actually let it go. So pick up your battle. So this is some sort Taoist, like Zhuangzi eventually gave this kind of advice. Okay, so the advice to dealing with this dangerous, problematic prince. Okay, so what this is, and you don't really know. It's not a utilitarian principle. It's not a categorical imperative. It's just Zhuangzi. Okay, so to let you to feel about the conditions. The wonderful thing you can see the time, the place, the situation. Then you make your decisions. Then you can going through your. Then this is how you navigate the thing. So I summarize these things. I think maybe I can call it as a proximity, where you will be easier to comprehend. So then, of course, the question is this a philosophical way? It's a proximity, a way to think about this kind of philosophical issue. Is it sound coherent, and also we can think about if it works, or this is only referred to ethical normative conditions. What about the metaphysical, ontological, cosmic? Do they have this? So that's something I needed to work through, but I will try out to see what that might works. Okay. So I would like, what will be, if we're really thinking about this kind of issues, maybe I will think about, one of the things, I wrote a book on the yin yang. It's a pretty good English scholarly a reflection of the yin yang as a framework to think about the philosophical issues. This is come from to learning from to live in California, going Venice Beach to see everybody have yin yang, annual surfboard, yin yang earrings, yin yang candles. I said, what do you do to our yin yang? This is superficiality. So I need to do something substantial. So, but one of the things, we were thinking about what is this yin yang all about? Okay. So it's a constant thing and a change. So we think about there is something hidden pattern in this living world. That is something we need to activate. That's also I think about is the lunar light. It's moon, the phase, hidden elements. You can see probably as yin elements, right? So that Luca talked about as a cultural consultant for Karate Kid, I already forgot the other things because you probably, I took that out from my, the public domain because I really like Will Smith. He's so intelligent. I went to his house 4-5 times, work on the strip. He take notes. But the slap things is so disappointing, But he does really interesting things. If you see the Karate Kid, there are so many plays, and it's a result of discussion with me, especially when you think about that woman, to go into to play with the snake. So that's yin elements. Okay, yin woman is a cosmic, female is a cosmic force, not just a woman socially, but it's a female. Men should have femininity as well. So there's quite a bit that kind of issues. But anyway, so we will think about this is a lingering and a rhythmic binding. Okay, so that is something we want to see, to where the world in this kind of making, in this transformation and the changes, and there is a silent transformation. Okay, that's something we often dismiss that. Just like 2016, and I was in Stanford, everybody crying that night to see Trump being to selected the president. What happened? Because there is a silent transformation, okay, happening in American society. But anyway, so that kind of situation we can see. But then we also think about the strengths. Okay, could the strength is light in the supplements, suppleness. Okay, because the moonlight is kind of very soft and mysterious. And so this is that is something like a tree. You think about the tree, right? Tree is you rooted in the soil, but yet you flows in the wind. You do not broke. That's the bamboo. That is some sort. That is some sort of we can see that giving us indications about one. How can we endorse the power? The power is not control, but it's competence with this grace. Okay, so one of the things that I also think about, this is my last slide because I want more discussion. So one of the things, wonder, philosophy started with wonder, the why. Wonder is the way ignorant and human mind to searching something more deeper, the truth, the beauty, the goodness. But then perhaps Zhuangzi's way is wonder. It's like with A, you walking through it. You wonder, you find it's called roaming. Okay? You're roaming in the reality. You're roaming in the world where you also find your way with your with the mind. It's not the wonder just like things push you around, but this wonder with A, and to living in this world, and also to contemplate the philosophical issues, and in this embodied wisdom. Perhaps one of the things you can think about wisdom, it's not that you have answer to everything, but rather you found the best approach to solve the problems. Perhaps that will be using the Zhuangzi's way to thinking about the philosophical journey, which is wonder. You start with A. Okay, that's my thank you very much.